Welcome to the Technology, Engineering, and Design Lunch and Learn series. The audience for these sessions, school counselors and CDCs. With us this morning is Brent, Curran, and Eli Hamrick. And they're going to speak to us about technology, engineering, design, CTE pathway courses, and careers. The North Carolina Technology, Engineering, Design Education offers students in middle grades and high school courses for students interested in STEM-based careers. Eli and Brent are education consultants to review and in charge of engineering pathway course options and how to promote these opportunities for your students. And with that, I'm going to pass it over to Eli and Brent.
All right, thank you so much, Amy. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning, everybody. Hope you're doing well, and we're excited to be here with you today. So to start off, a couple little housekeeping notes. If you've been to some of these other sessions that Amy has been so gracious to host, you've probably seen it before. So these sessions are being recorded and they will be shared out. I'm assuming if you've registered and you complete the attendance link, it is available for 0.1 CEU continuing education credit.
All right, Amy has prepared a Q&A form where you can submit questions, and I believe she's just posted that into the chat. So if you have any questions, you can submit them on that form, or towards the end of this presentation, if you have any questions, we'll take some questions in the chat.
Absolutely. And here is your attendance check-in. And I believe as well, Amy has put that so graciously for us in the chat. So please click that link or scan the QR code that is up on the screen so that you can get credit for attending today's session. We will make sure you get good use of your time and you get the credit you so rightfully deserve.
And I guess let's go back. Make sure everyone's got that QR code. Okay. We'll wait maybe another 10 seconds or so. Make sure you check in for today's session. And the link is also in the chat if you can't, the QR code is not working for you. Okay, let's get started. All right, so some general information about our program area. We are technology, engineering, and design. Very often you'll hear it called TED, T-E-D for short. This program area is focused on design thinking. It's highly correlated with STEM classes. Most often, if you think of a STEM course, most of the time we're talking about our TED courses. Students create projects, hands-on. They're very often building things. They're going through challenges to make some sort of solution to a challenge. So that could be anything from building a bridge to building a robot. And then they have some sort of constraints that they have to follow to be successful in that challenge. So with the bridge, it could be the bridge has to hold a certain amount of weight. With a robot, it might be something like the robot has to navigate through a maze in a certain amount of time. There's a wide variety of challenges that exist in these courses. The end goal is that hopefully students that are in our technology, engineering, and design pathway is that in the future they want to become engineers or technicians or work somewhere in the STEM field where they can, of course, find a very high-paying job that is in demand, especially in North Carolina with our the Triad region, the Triangle region, certain regions around the state where we have a lot of manufacturing and other industries that are all very much STEM related.
And directly related to those technology, engineering, design courses that are offered at both the middle school and high school levels is the CTSO. If you're not familiar with what a CTSO is, it stands for Career and technical student organizations. A CTSO is more than a club. It is not meant to be co-curricular, but intra-curricular. A lot of our courses that we offer in the technology, engineering, design pathway have activities built in from TSA, which is the Technology Student Association. Students can be a member of this, and then they can attend the regional and state conferences where they actually compete and engage in activities that are directly related to the materials that they're learning in class. So it's supporting what is already being done in the classroom already. It focuses on both middle grades and high school. Some of the other CTSOs that align to some of the other program areas don't have a middle school, or it's not as much of a middle school presence. So something to think about is the presence that TSA does have for the middle school associations. And there are 77 events as it currently stands for the Technology Student Association, and they are aligned to national as well as North Carolina CTE standards. So I would highly encourage you to talk to your technology, engineering, design teachers and your students about this opportunity. If your school already has it, if it doesn't have it, talk to them about the potential to do it, because it does directly correlate and support what is already happening in the classroom and can provide some amazing opportunities for your students.
All right, so some more program information. Most of the technology, engineering, design classes are very much hands-on. Students day to day are doing things with their hands. They're going to design, build, test, and improve a variety of challenge-based projects that we just talked about. With this, we want to say we want to be mindful of class size recommendations. We do have recommended class sizes for all of our courses in CTE. And the reason behind that is teachers facilitate the use of equipment, tools, and other safety concerns in their labs. Some of these labs appear to be what we used to call the woodshop class. Of course, those have been updated with new skills and stuff that the students are learning. But it is a safety issue most of the time with these classes and our class size recommendations. Another extension of that is most of our courses as a final assessment, we do not have a traditional multiple choice state assessment anymore. We've transitioned to what we call performance-based measurements, or PBMs, where the students are creating a project by themselves, hands-on, and the teachers need to provide one-on-one support and feedback to those students throughout their entire time in that course. On to the next slide.
All right, so now we're going to discuss the pathways that exist that can be offered in the schools and the districts y'all represent to help develop and establish high quality CTE programs. The first one, and I would say is kind of the flagship of technology, engineering, design, is what's called the Technology, Engineering, and Design pathway. This is one of two high school pathways that exist in this program area. And I'm going to let stop sharing my screen for a sec. And Mr. Curran's going to pull up what that pathway looks like. So we have TE11. This is the North Carolina Course Management System if you've never seen it before. The link is in the PowerPoint, and Amy, I'm sure, will put it in the chat for us. This is a public-facing site, so you're welcome to always go here if you need to access information regarding it. You just simply start typing in the course name or course code.
Yep. So for example, one of our first courses in this pathway is going to be TE11. The course is called Technology, Engineering, and Design. This is a high school course. And under the CMS, or the course management system, we'll refer to this as this North Carolina CTE CMS. You could click on course information, and this is going to provide you with some general information about any CTE course, but of course the course you plugged in there, that information will pop up. You'll see our course description. This information is fed into your registration systems, and then we'll see some other information in here. So some things I want to highlight for guidance counselors and CDCs to be aware of is first POL. We call that proof of learning. And what that is what type of assessment will the students have at the end of this course. Now, this is where we could have a traditional multiple choice test assessment. It could be a credential where students take an outside test, usually through Pearson or some other vendor, and they will earn a credential. Or you'll see most often in our pathway PBM, or performance-based measurement. And this is where students are building something hands-on. This is an individual project that requires a large amount of time and feedback from the teacher to ensure that they are successful throughout learning the standards over the entire course. Another thing we'd like to point out up here is the recommended maximum enrollment. Again, these are just recommendations, but for this course, it is 25. And we understand that that's not as many as a lot of the other courses that exist out there. But again, that is due to those safety constraints and some of that hands-on feedback and stuff that the teachers have to facilitate. We do have some other information about pathways that pop up here, but I actually like a different view that explains this a little better. So I'm going to return to the main page. And then for the same course, TE11, I'm going to click Career Pathways. And what this will do is this will show you our career pathways. And we have a whole bunch of different areas up here, but we're going to go through some of this information, and hopefully by the end of it, you guys will kind of understand the purpose behind all of this. So to start out with, we see middle grades exploration. And these are the courses that students take in the middle grades. This is where you see all of our middle grades technology, engineering, design courses. This is an opportunity for students to explore, hey, am I interested in engineering or STEM or one of those other concepts that we cover? And you see we have a large variety of courses here. Students who take one of these middle grades exploration courses, and they do love this material, we hope that they continue whenever they are in high school to be a pathway completer. Now, what that means is there's some other courses they have to take. So to start out with, some pathways will have a foundational prerequisite option. We do not have that in this pathway. So what we'll look at here is our prerequisite options. And what this means is in this pathway, students start with this course, TE11, Technology, Engineering, and Design. That is the first level course. It's a level 1 course. Most often, 9th graders would take this course. If they continue through the pathway, they will take a concentrator option. So we have 2 concentrator options. It's TE12, Technological Design, and TE13, Engineering Design. They could take either of those options. So very often you'll see students go from TE11 to TE12. They take both of those courses and they are successful. They are what we call a CTE pathway completer. And we want all of our students to be CTE completers. That helps out the CTE data and stuff. But for the most part, the end goal here is we want our students to graduate on time in their cohort, and we want them to go into a career, or we want them to go into some sort of either community college or university. And our data shows if you are a pathway completer, students are more likely to graduate high school on time and either go out into industry or go into the community college or the university system afterwards. Eli, I'm going to go back to stop sharing so you can pull up the slides again.
All right. So as Brent went through, that was the technology, engineering, and design pathway. That's the one that is probably most widely utilized across the state of North Carolina, but probably not everywhere. So take the opportunity to explore that North Carolina course management system that Brent was showing us. And again, it's included here in the PowerPoint. There is just another screenshot of that particular pathway, starting with TE11, Technology, Engineering, Design. And then for them to be considered a concentrator, that they've taken focused time and effort and coursework in that area, they would either need to take TE12, Technological Design, or TE13, Engineering Design. And this is not, as Brent mentioned, to discount the myriad of classes at the middle grades level, as they are just as equally important. So at the middle grades level, these are what we call our middle grades exploration classes. These allow students to begin to explore concepts related to technology, engineering, design, and decide if this is a area or a pathway that interests them that they want to learn more about. So when they get to high school, they can make the choice to take this or to take some other type of CTE course. And now there's some reorganization coming to our middle grades classes. Speaking of that, and I'm going to let Brent speak about that, as he's had a big hand in kind of redesigning the look and feel of those.
Yeah, so our what we call our TY series is going through a little bit of an update. Currently, we have TY 0 through I believe it's TY 13, and a lot of those courses are being condensed down. Those are actually middle grades modules right now, and we are condensing them down into courses. These courses come from a international partner called the International Technology and Engineering Educators Association. They have standards at the national level that are the premier standards of our field in technology, engineering, design. And we've gone through and updated our North Carolina state standards to align with some of this updated content. So if you are at a middle grades school, you will see this change coming next school year. We have Engineering Exploring Technology 1 and 2, and these courses are sequential. So students would take TY00 before taking TY01. We have Engineering, Invention, and Innovation 1 and 2. We also will have Engineering Technological Systems 1 and 2. And if you are familiar with the TY series as it is now, you'll see some of those modules along with what we see here currently. It is recommended that 0 and 01, the Exploring Technology series, is taught at the 6th grade level, and it is recommended that Invention and Innovation series will be taught at the 7th grade, and the Technological Systems will be taught at the 8th grade. Again, those are just recommendations. Those are best practices. We understand not every school is going to have the capacity to fully facilitate 6 of those courses in their middle school. So it's kind of a school by school basis what you may have based off of the amount of staff and flexibility you have within your schedules. Yeah, we go on to the next slide. Again, this is a recap of what prerequisite option and concentrator option students must take to be a pathway completer in that technology, engineering, design pathway. And up here we have career major pathway options. This is a special course that teachers have the option to teach, and it's the one I really enjoy is advanced studies, CTE advanced studies in STEM. Students could also do an apprenticeship program or an internship program in STEM, but the one I hear the most about is the advanced studies. And this is really for a student who has taken TE11, TE12, TE13, and they just want to take more STEM courses, and they really want to dive deep into something that they couldn't dive deep into in one of their courses. So they could potentially take CTE Advanced Studies, where they could really dive deep into a STEM topic of their choice that they really enjoy. So that is another opportunity that does exist out there.
And then we have our last pathway for the high school level. That's PLTW. PLTW stands for the organization Project Lead the Way Engineering in particular here. And Brent works closely with those individuals and talks to them. So I'm going to let him talk about what it looks like. You got something to share for that, Brent?
I do. I'm going to pull up the pathway on CMS for that.
All right. So I'm going to stop sharing.
Okay, so we are back on CMS, and we're going to look at one of our Project Lead the Way courses. So I'm going to pull up one of the Project Lead the Way courses, and we'll go to the course information, and we see very similar things that we see under our technology, engineering, and design pathway. Only one thing I'd like to note is for proof of learning, we see that this is a local option. And what this means is your local level CTE office will determine what that end of course proof of learning looks like. From what I understand, Project Lead the Way, they've developed a variety of assessments, whether it be a multiple choice, kind of that standard final test that we're all used to. And I have heard that they do have some sort of big final projects that they've come up with. But again, as far as we're concerned here at the state level, that is a local decision that your district will make and they're within their local CTE office. So I am going to go back to the main page so we can look at this pathway for TP11, Project Lead the Way, Introduction to Engineering Design. Project Lead the Way is another big national organization. There's many states that teach Project Lead the Way, just as there are states that teach the technology, engineering, design. These courses were not developed by the state or in partnership with the state. This is more of a subscription-based curriculum that schools opt to pay a subscription for to have access to these. It is a great program. I am a little biased. I'm more of the technology, engineering, design person myself, but these are another great option for our students out there. It really gives you a wide variety of courses to choose from, and they give you a lot of resources for teachers who might not have traditionally gone through a teacher college to teach engineering courses. So we do have Project Lead the Way at the middle grades level. There's a large variety of those, just as we had in our technology, engineering, design pathway, and our prerequisite options and our concentrator options. We have more options here. For the most part, what I'm seeing throughout the state is that most schools are offering TP11, Project Lead the Way, Introduction to Engineering Design. They'll teach that at the 9th grade level. And then they might offer TP12 as a second semester option for students to be kind of in a year-round program for principles of engineering. In their 10th grade year, they might follow this up with Project Lead the Way Engineering Essentials, TP13. And then towards their last 2 years, they'll go into a specialized course with Project Lead the Way. And that could be digital electronics, computer integrated manufacturing, civil engineering and architecture, aerospace engineering, or environmental sustainability. And again, it just kind of depends on the school which is offered. Some schools like to start an academy, and they'll have a civil engineering academy, so they might do Project Lead the Way civil engineering, for example. But again, to be a completer, they need to take one of the prerequisite options and then one of the concentrator options. And those who go through the Project Lead the Way program, just like the technology, engineering, and design program, are more than likely to graduate on time with their cohort and go into some sort of career after high school or the community college or university system afterwards. So I'm going to stop and we're going to go back to the PowerPoint now.
All righty, there goes. Thank you so much for that, Brent. Explain that Project Lead the Way Engineering, the second pathway that we have available at the high school level in the technology, engineering, and design space. And again, just a rehash of those prerequisite options. So the first level courses, the concentrator options, those second level courses, and then the opportunities like with the first pathway, technology, engineering, design, for them to really dive in when students taken or exhausted all other courses, whether that's advanced studies, whether that's an apprenticeship, or whether that's an internship, of what they can do there further on. And then that leads us into the post-secondary opportunities that exist. In North Carolina, there is a robust offering of engineering programs from associate level degrees and North Carolina Community College partners through some of the universities you see listed up here and more. So NC State, I know, is typically considered one of the big ones, but there are more beyond that. Elon University, Duke University, NCANT, and UNCC all offer programs that allow students to really dive into engineering and the various facets of engineering. There's a link there in particular that NC State offers where they have partnered up in both the East and the West with other partners to develop a 2+2 model where students go to another university. I think in the West it's UNC Asheville, and the East I believe it's UNCW, and get their first 2 years of gen eds out the way, and then finish up at NC State to get their engineering degree. So this may be a good option for some of our students who don't want to jump straight into engineering right out of high school and start that 4-year trek, but still have an interest in the technology, engineering, design field and the STEM field in general.
Yep. And since we are talking to guidance counselors and CDCs, as you have these conversations with your students, you know which students want to go to what university and such. I'm sure one of those conversations you have is how do we help pay for that? One thing I'd like to point out is students in a CTSO, those CTSOs, TSA, for example, at the North Carolina level, we have North Carolina scholarships in TSA for students to apply for and to go into some sort of STEM college or university. At the national level at TSA, there's a wide variety of scholarships, and I'm fairly certain that even if your school doesn't offer TSA, the Technology Student Association, as their CTSO, any CTSO is going to have opportunities to help them after they complete high school. So that's something you may want to, have a conversation with those students as they come in and out of your office, and they tell you their dreams and their goals of what they want to do in the future.
So just as a side note, and so that you are familiar with it, because it has changed a little bit in the past, our area has reorganized. In the past, technology, engineering, design, education used to kind of be this separate entity, and computer science and information technology, which we sometimes refer to as CSIT, was its own separate entity. That is no longer going to be the case as we transition through into next school year. It is now going to be lumped together into computer science, IT, and technology education. They are very closely intertwined in terms of related to concepts around computer science, IT, STEM, and technology education. So it is now going to become computer science, IT, and technology education. Brent and myself are two of the consultants on the team. So that's just a little bit of information for your benefit and your knowledge moving forward if you see that somewhere. Once again, I'll leave it up here for a few seconds. There is a Q&A. There's a form, or I'm fine if they put it in the chat too, as long as you're good with that, Amy. We can see the chat, so if you have any questions, please feel free to ask. That's what Brent and myself are here for, is to help answer questions from the field and do the best we can for y'all to give y'all the support you need. as y'all are doing the vital work of helping to advise students on what to take and what the classes are about and help them prepare for all the post-secondary opportunities that exist out there. So as well too, Amy just put the link for that form in the chat.
Great. So I see a question. Are there any thoughts for a credential in the technology, engineering, design pathway? At this time, no. Our credential process, we go through industry to look at what credentials they deem valuable and what credentials could a student in high school earn. There's not, to my knowledge, any engineering credentials that they can earn that would be of value of them in a high school setting. We continually have these conversations with industry as they update us on what their new requirements are as they're looking for candidates to hire in the field. So at this time, no, we don't have any plans to add any credentials in the pathway. As we get that information from industry in the future, it is a possibility. All right, another question here. Can the middle school students only take the first level, say like in 6th grade, and then take the first part for 7th grade the next year? Do they have to take the sequences for each level before moving to the next? So I believe you're referring to our new middle grades courses that are coming out. And let's pull those back up on screen. Oh,
Too fast.
here, no. So for example, a student could start with TY04, Engineering Technological Systems 1. That would be fine. That would be acceptable. That content is geared more towards the 8th grade level, but it is acceptable to teach that to 6th graders and 7th graders. This is just a recommendation as far as the sequence that they should follow. Now, if a student wanted to take TY03, Engineering, Invention, and Innovation 2, for example, that class requires the prerequisite class TY02, Engineering, Invention, and Innovation 1. So the courses build upon each other. The second course requires the first course, but you don't have to take technological systems last or exploring technology first. You can kind of shuffle those up and down.
And let me ask too, and let me clarify too, and a student could come into 6th grade and take TY00, Exploring Engineering Technology 1, and then in their 7th grade year could take TY02,
Yes.
Engineering, Invention, and Innovation. So to answer that question, they could take one 6th grade and then move on to one of the other first parts. But as Brent said, if they want to take that TY01, 03, or 05, that second level, they do need to have the prerequisite first level because it's building off the skills and knowledge they learn in the first level. Good question so far. Any other ones?
Don't see any other questions. Let's go to the next slide.
Okay, next, I'll leave this for a sec. Please make sure, and I'm sure Amy will put the link in the chat. Please make sure to do the link or the QR code, whichever one is more convenient and easier for you to get credit for this session. You want to get your 0.1 CEU, time is valuable. So we'll leave that up for a moment. While you're doing that, if another question comes to mind, please feel free to put it in the chat.
Yep, and I believe Amy is going to publish these slides and this recording so you can share it with your colleagues who may not have been able to attend today. And if you think of any other questions, the last slide does have our email addresses. You can just always send us an email, or I believe the form might still be open after this session. I'm not 100% sure about that. Amy, is this form going to stay open for the questions?
Yes, can you hear me okay?
Yep, we can hear you.
Yes, thank you, Brent and Eli. The question form is open throughout the year. until the last lunch and learn session is complete. And that last one is April 18th with our middle grades consultant, Ashley Matthew Smith. So you can come in and click on this question form anytime. I'm checking it on a regular basis and sharing it with our consultants. The recording will be shared to the CTC Moodle and also our school counseling consultant, Dr. Keisha Bryant, will share it through the school counselor newsletter. So you'll have the recording as well and the links there. And Dr. Bryant could not attend today, so I want to make sure that you all know that because we do have some school counselors here.
So, shameless plug, here is all the CTE social medias, the Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, and YouTube to see all the wonderful things that are happening. In CTE, there are some stuff posted about technology, engineering, design too. So if you're on those, please give it a follow. And thank you for your time today. We know y'all are incredibly busy and have a lot going on. Thanks for taking a few minutes to lunch and learn with us. As you see there, there's Brent and mine's names, and as well as our emails. So please, if you ever have any questions or concerns, do not hesitate to give us a shout, and we'll be happy to help you as we can.
All right. Thanks, everybody. Hope you have a good afternoon.
Brent and Eli, thank you so very much. Appreciate you doing this and taking the time to ensure that school counselors and CDCs get this information. I've put Dr. Keisha Bryant's email for school counselors in the chat. I will put mine as well, just in case you have any questions for me either. In addition, that's also. And I'm going to end this recording. Gentlemen, thank you for your time and your support. And thank you everyone for joining in this morning.